Welcome to Small Firms Association podcast. For 20 years, the National Small Business Awards have celebrated the innovation, talent and success of Ireland's vibrant small business community. You can find out more at sfaawards.ie. I'm Rob O'Hanrahan, and on the first of this two-part series, we're going to be discussing what is the path to success for small businesses in Ireland. And first, let me introduce the panel. David Broderick, the Director of the Small Firms Association; Anya Kennedy, the Founder, Director and CEO of The Smooth Company; and Philip Delaney, the owner of Dairy Glen. Now, David, I'm going to start with you, if that's all right. You're first up to the chopping block. I'm sorry about that. But you've had a career, really, of developing business strategies. When it comes to mentoring small businesses, what are the first things you look to help with a business?
Yeah, well, I think it's a two-way process. First of all, it's very important for people to realise that they need help. Like we always say that, business leadership is a really lonely place, and certainly when you look at the likes of the people sitting beside me, the stresses and pressures that you come under, sometimes you can kind of forget to stick the head up, take a breath, and kind of look for that advice and guidance. So that's kind of the first thing to get small business owners to acknowledge if they need help in a particular area. I would often see, certainly even from my mentoring days when I wasn't involved in the Small Firms Association, people start businesses because they're good at one thing. They're passionate about their makeup, they're passionate about their ice cream. But it's all the other stuff that trips them up. So it's the finances. It's, certainly people management is a very big thing for them as well. So it's just about, I suppose, identifying as an individual, as the business owner, as the business leader, okay, well, where am I not 100%? And what can I do about that? Should I outsource that?
Is that a very un-Irish thing to do sometimes, maybe to ask for that help? Do you ever come across that?
Oh, absolutely. I worked with a gentleman down in, I'm going to say the region actually, but he was running a coffee shop, and I couldn't get him for 2 days. I was supposed to be mentoring him at the time when I was doing that role. And I said, "Where were you?" And he said, "Oh, I took 2 days off to do my VAT returns." And I went, "You did what?" I said, "Do you know anything about VAT returns?" And he said, "No." He said, "Why?" He said, "I just couldn't afford to outsource it, so I said I'd have a crack at it myself." So at that moment, I mean, it's humorous and it's scary at the same time. Yeah. But I mean, when you're just so caught up in it, when people are depending on you to pay their wages, and when people are, there's a lot of money involved. There's family investment. Certainly nowadays we see that a lot. There's other people's money involved, so people just get a bit panicked, scared, and nervous. And I think that's what makes small business owners. That's what gives them the drive. But there definitely comes a point where you need to stop, pause. Look to the Small Firms Association, something that we would always have. So our HR support that we give companies, that would be probably our main. The main people that people join us, because when you're running a small business, you don't have time to be doing the HR. And as we all know, if you get it wrong, you can find yourself in a lot of trouble, a lot of costly trouble. So it's which bits can I do myself and which bits can I maybe give to somebody else, which would be more beneficial for my business, or will I just outsource that specifically? So it's just taking that moment.
Never having enough hours in the day, really, I suppose.
Time and cash flow, I always say that. They're the two things that business owners need, and they're the two things that they have the least amount of, time and cash flow.
Very interesting. Anya, in 2023, am I right in thinking you won the Young Entrepreneur of the Year at the Irish Women's Awards?
Yeah.
Now, your business journey is quite well known online. You have something more than 90 million views on TikTok, yourself and Grandad Billy,
and
of
Grandad
course.
Billy, yes.
Can you give me a little bit of background about your business, what exactly it is?
Yeah, of course. So I started my small business on the 8th of February in 2022. So we just had our second birthday there last week, which is very exciting. I launched the business with my first product called the Smooth Stick. So the Smooth Stick is a premium hair taming wand designed to tame baby hairs and flyaways without leaving your hair crunchy, greasy or hard like other hair styling products can do. So I saw a gap in the market when I saw a lot of girls dipping their toothbrush into gel to slick their hair back, and I personally hate putting gel in my hair because, as you know, it leaves your hair hard and then you have to wash it out, and when you have a lot of hair like me, it takes so long to wash and dry your hair. So I thought there has to be an easier solution. So I started doing a lot of research on it, started contacting a lot of manufacturers. Took 2 years product development, but then on the 8th of February I launched with the Smooth Stick. So since then we have over 90 million views on TikTok. We're stocked in Brown Thomas stores nationwide. We're predominantly an e-commerce brand, so we have customers in over 48 countries around the world now thanks to TikTok. So I documented our business journey on TikTok, so I suppose that's helped with our business success because people love following our brand story. And since then, we've launched 3 other products, which is very exciting. And I'll give you guys a sneak peek. We are actually launching in the Loop now in Terminal 1 and Terminal 2 in the next 2 weeks. We're launching in Peter Mark stores nationwide as well. So it's very exciting.
Yeah, and I love that you actually know the birthday of your business.
Big day.
Yeah.
Big day.
It's so interesting as well to see when you talk about being primarily an e-commerce brand.
Yeah.
Because there'll be so many people in Ireland who don't even have the TikTok app on their phones, or they see it as something that, you know, the kid on the bus beside them won't turn down the volume on. So, but it's obviously, it is a massive, I suppose, developmental tool that's available for small businesses. Yeah,
like I think I owe so much to TikTok and the brand awareness it's given our small business, because if we were to go back a few years ago and I was to use traditional PR with TV and print, like, it would have cost us a lot of money, a lot of money that we don't have as a small business. So I call myself an unofficial TikTok ambassador for small businesses because there's so much opportunity on it, and I think that really helped us open the doors for us to get onto some of our stockists like Brown Thomas, and we're online on Cloud 10 because they saw the brand online, they saw how popular it was. And also, once you get the hang of it, it is quite easy to do. You don't have to overthink it. You just put up behind the scenes what you're doing, and you don't know what's going to go viral and what's not. So I think it's really, really good in that regard for getting small businesses noticed amongst all the noise and up there against the big brands like L'Oreal and stuff. Yeah, it's really interesting. And Philip, I suppose it feels like Dairy Glen is everywhere now. And while you maybe don't remember the birth date of your business, am I right in thinking 1991? And the reason I know that is because I actually think that makes your company older than me and probably Anya as well. That is literally the year I was born. So take me back. Where did it start? How did Dairy Glen come to be?
So I guess out of adversity comes opportunity. So it wasn't me who started. I was over in the UK, but my dad and my brother were employed in a UK big business in direct sales in Ireland. And they pulled out of that business, and so it gave the opportunity for my dad then to start on his own. So it was soft serve ice cream products, your humble 99, your cone. So all the consumables relative to that. So they went to an Irish company and got them to make the brand, and they went direct. And that's what Ireland wanted. They want people to come up with solutions that they can trust. Then I came back from the UK after a big recession. Came back to Ireland, and then the success of Dairy Glen was growing at a rate that they needed help. So I came in to help out for a little while, and 30 years later I'm still here because it's like the evolution of the business. It's challenging the status quo. There's always something more to be done. There's always something more to be got better. There's always a new opportunity. You keep looking at, we're doing this, but we could do more. And that's really what's kept us in business up till where we are now, 33 years later. Yeah. And we still feel like a startup. We still have that same energy because there seems so much more to do.
It's fascinating as well when you consider, say, for example, Anya having built so much of your brand out from TikTok. And then when Dairy Glen started, I don't think the internet was even operational. And I really am trying to have a dig when I say that. But it fascinates me that we've 2 entrepreneurs here in front of us who kind of developed their businesses into very, very different times and very, very different eras. But yet Dairy Glen is still managing to push on, as you say, 33 years later.
Yeah, and I think the common thing in it is people. But we're connecting with people a different way. And customer service, taking people's pain away, being relevant, offering value, you'll be in business forever.
Yeah.
It is the customer service piece. And again, that's driven by people. I couldn't agree more with you on it. I mean, you like good customer service, you want to be treated well. And the more, I have a lot of talks lately about AI and customers and digitalisation, which we will need to an extent. We'll never replicate what people do to the level they do. Yeah. We saw this during COVID when it came to sales, a lot of sales teams, and certainly spoke to some multinationals at the time. Sure, the sales meeting is dead, we can do it all online. They won't need to travel anymore. You won't need to do that. Never. You want to look somebody in the eye before you sign the dotted line, before you shake on their hand. And that is about building rapport and building people. So although it has evolved and it has moved on, we'll never replicate that. And it is actually an interesting point. I didn't realise that in terms of how the 2 businesses.
As long as you're adding value, you're relevant.
Yeah. I agree.
Yeah, very interesting. Look, let's go back a tiny bit, and I suppose for people maybe who are listening to this podcast who have obviously an interest in business, but David, what categorises a small business, and then how much of Ireland's businesses do they make up?
Yeah, sure. So small businesses are businesses with 50 employees or less. So if you look, that actually equates to 98% of all businesses in Ireland, and we employ just under half the private workforce, so about 276,000. I'm quoted on that one in terms of, well, it was when certainly this research was done. So it's a huge cohort of businesses. The big thing about them is, they're the backbone of society, and I think that does something that frustrates me sometimes. A lot of talk about bigger businesses and strategies. Small businesses are the fabric of our society. They're in every town and village in Ireland, and it's important that we would always support them. And I think some people look at the big stories and the big multinationals. I think it's okay as a business leader. Obviously, you want to do well, but for a small business that just operates successfully within its town or villages, or certainly within Ireland alone, that's still a very successful business. So it does encompass a wide church, I suppose. Yeah,
it's very interesting. Anya, I suppose to look on as well when it comes to building the company, and I suppose we've talked about how customers are so important and that importance of adding value. The people around you kind of make those companies happen as well. So how did you find trying to build the team around you?
Absolutely, and I suppose kind of to touch on what Damien said earlier, it's probably something that I struggle with, hiring people, because it's quite scary, when you're all of a sudden in charge of other people's salaries and making sure they get paid every month. But we have an amazing team at the moment, so for the first few months it was working by myself, but all my family and friends were roped in, packing all the orders in my attic for months. And I suppose due to TikTok, the business grew faster than I had expected, so we outsource now our fulfillment. So we have an amazing fulfillment centre, so they pick and pack our orders for us, which is brilliant. Then my sister came back from her J1, kind of similar to Philip's story. She started working with me, which was only meant to be for a month, and she's still with us now, so it's amazing. So Emer kind of helps. She does a bit of everything. And then we just hired our marketing manager, Rebecca, in January, which is amazing. And then we have 3 part-time staff as well. So we have Charlotte, who helps with our operations and finances. She is amazing. She works 1 day a week, but my God, she does the work of 5 days a week in 1 day. She's phenomenal. Then we have Niamh, who does our customer service. The importance of good customer service, like I trust Niamh with my life. She's so nice to everyone. So our customers are in safe hands. And then we have Karen, who's our bookkeeper. So she works part-time as well. So there's 3 full-time, 3 part-time. I suppose for how big the business is now, we do need to take on more staff. But so I suppose it's quite scary as a small business, especially in startup mode. The hiring side, like I have my background in marketing, I did entrepreneurship in college. But running a business, being a CEO of a business is something that I don't have experience in. So it's definitely having resources there like the SFA to help with stuff like that is amazing.
I think it's the hardest part,
definitely,
actually, because it's for the, if you don't get that right.
Yeah.
And again, it's businesses, it's by problem solving. If you hire the wrong person, and sometimes that happens, it's a very difficult environment to break up that relationship if you don't do it well. So it'll be something we talk about a lot. If you're going to take someone on, you have to spend the time getting it right. And then, if it's not working out, you have to try and help that person to the best you can do.
It's not you, it's me.
Exactly. And unfortunately, those conversations need to happen quickly.
It's a team mentality. You've got to build a team, and that comes with trust. We can see it on the current rugby team. They pick the right people, but then they're put on the pitch and trusted to do the job once they're out there. And I believe that's the same within any business. The same within our business. People are given the space to do their role, and we've built that trust right from an early stage. And most people have grown with our business. They're there from anywhere from 10, 15, 20 years. So they become the business. The business, while it may seem like I'm a co-owner within the business, really it's the whole team that create it and make it. And we built a system where we also do employee profit share schemes. So listen, we all get paid, we do the job. Sometimes I'll have people saying to me, "Oh, I've worked really hard for you today, Philip." I said, I get paid whether you work really hard or not. But we all get paid and we all work smart to make money. And that's what we've built into our business structure. Because the business can't work just on me alone. It works when we're all there.
That's a culture
So that's the culture that we've built in. And ultimately, you build in ownership. So you will always hear about make sure you employ the right people and somebody who's even smarter than you. I agree with that, but I also agree that you build in people, giving them the opportunity to grow and mature and be somebody within the business.
It's interesting as well with Dairy Glen and its origins, and then Anya mentioning having your sister Emer working alongside you. Quite a lot of small businesses in Ireland often have that family nucleus around you. Can I ask about the dynamics of that? Because I love my brother and sister very dearly. My God, I couldn't work with them 9 to 5, Monday to Friday.
For me, the dynamics is we're both different. We both have different strengths and different skill sets. So I would probably be more strategic, long vision, looking to the future. What's next? What's the opportunity? What can I change? What can we do better? And Jeff, my brother, would be very good at customer relationship, customer focus, connecting with customers, making sure that they don't get let down. So that's really, we've 2 locations, one's in Dublin, one's in Cork, which is another area. And then we just meet on a monthly basis and review how well we did, how well we didn't.
And Anya?
Yeah, that's the exact same as Philip. Me and Emer definitely have different skill sets. So Emer would be very good, especially when we have like events. So we had a pop-up shop in Liffey Valley there before Christmas for 4 weeks. So Emer was basically managing that whole thing. When we have events, that's what Emer organises. And I, like Philip, is more long-term strategic plans for the business and new product development. So I think that's key for running a business, that everyone has different skill sets. I think if me and Emer had the same skill sets and we're working on the same thing, that's when we'd clash. But to add to that, we also both still live at home. So we're living together, working together. Yeah, we have an office out the back garden. So yeah, it's a lot. I actually am so surprised that we honestly don't fight or bicker.
I am shocked. I am absolutely shocked.
I swear, I was nervous of that at the start, but we honestly haven't. I think it's because we both know where the business is going. We both know exactly where we want the business to go. We both know exactly what we want to do. And kind of like Philip, like, I don't get involved in the stuff she's doing. Like, I trust her to do that job. I think if I was over her micromanager or nitpick and stuff, then we probably might have issues. But she knows what she's doing. I just don't get involved. I trust her 100%. So I think that's key.
That's a culture that you've created again. It sounds like a broken record here, but I've come from a family business too. And, you know, when we grew up, the most... I won't call it vicious, but the most robust boardroom I've ever sat around. My mum used to do a breakfast on a Sunday morning, and the 2 boys are involved in the business, and you come home. But the stuff that was discussed around that table or a Friday evening before that, you were willing to just say it because it's family and get on with it. So I think that's the advantage of the family side of business. You're able to come out and just say what it was, and you probably say stuff to the family that you certainly wouldn't say to an employee or somebody like that. But
is there right? Would there be a candour, Philip, between yourself and your brother maybe that you wouldn't have with another partner who maybe wasn't your brother?
I think it goes back to the trust.
Okay.
You felt, you kind of know and you trust each other, and that is the challenge for bringing into the whole culture of your business. But the same as Anya, we started it in the attic in my dad's house.
That must be where all great businesses start, in the attic. That's where we started too.
My mum's was in the basement.
The basement, okay.
It wasn't quite the attic. Yeah.
I just think my dad, back in his first job, was supplying product to your mum.
Oh, really? That's gas. I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, it's small, and it's small steps. And when people look at us now, they assume the business was always this size. But yeah, I've spent my early life on a van, knocking on doors, walking into wheeling in product into shops. So
that's where you learn customer service, I bet you.
You actually learn the whole business too.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. What you said. I think that when people ask me what's your biggest tip for starting a small business, I think it's to get experience in businesses. Okay. So I worked as a marketing intern for a cosmetics brand that stocked in Pennies and pharmacies nationwide. But although I was a marketing intern, they sent me out on the road. They sent me to pharmacies. They sent me to Pennies doing stock takes, taking orders. And before that, I worked for Benefit Cosmetics, a premium cosmetics brand, as a beauty advisor. But we had serious sales targets to reach week in, week out with that. So I think I got to see both sides of business, a premium cosmetics brand, a colour cosmetics brand, and then I went on to a tan brand. I think my learnings from all of them helped shape the business today, kind of like you when you were on the road as well. I think it's key.
And you learn the hard work piece.
Yeah, you do, 100%.
That's one thing you always see. If you're not willing to pack the van, to sweep the floor, forget about it. You're not going to survive. You need to be doing absolutely everything, and you need to learn that with it as well.
changed though, because if we'd have stayed doing what we did when we started, we wouldn't be around anymore.
Yeah.
And it's just the adaptation to change and being relevant. And good to great says you got to find what you can be the best at and then focus on that, because you can't be the best at everything in the one business.
Yeah, it's very interesting. Look, what we're talking about, I suppose, small business and the National Small Business Awards. Now, I suppose it's been described as an enabling process, kind of opens new horizons, networking opportunities, and potentially national acclaim for small businesses. David, these are all steps really that are kind of vital to the development of a small business.
I think one of the things, and I've said this before, one of the things that you often hear from the finalists is it's that taking that time to reflect on how far you've come. And actually the process, now the forms are quite straightforward, but even the process to sit back and say, do you know, oh yeah, and feel that, oh yeah, I suppose I did do that, I suppose I did that. You'd often hear the finalists say, God, it was actually quite a great process to be able to say, geez, I have come this far. And then the other bit they get, that when you go through the awards itself, which is a whole, from when you get shortlisted, you're October, you don't finish until March 7th, so you're away on a masterclass weekend, we had Business Connect last Thursday week, so we had over 470 companies engaged, and all the finalists get to present and showcase their products at that, right up until the gala dinner, which not everybody can win, but even that process of being there and I suppose seeing how far you've come, and then when you look around the room saying, God, I want to get to that next step, I want to go a bit further, and seeing how far you go, how far you still have to go. So I think the whole process of putting yourself up for it is a great process for you to reflect on the business.
Is that difficult, Anya? Can I ask that? Because when you're constantly driving forward and constantly trying to move and constantly trying to expand, and particularly I think for the younger generation with social media and everything, our best lives are always out in front, is it hard to take a step back and kind of say, okay, I've done well here? Is that hard?
100%. Like, that's something I'm so bad at. I'm constantly like, next thing, because I know exactly where I want us to go. So I find it very difficult to stop and be like, whoa, this is how much we've already achieved. And I suppose, like you said, the whole social media piece, you're constantly comparing yourselves to other businesses, and probably businesses who've been around for longer than you, and you're like, why haven't I done this yet? But you have to take it one step at a time. So as David said, it's when you kind of stop and actually reflect on everything you've achieved when you're entering awards like the SFA Awards. It actually does make you realise and be grateful for how far you've come. And then we won Emerging New Business last year, looking around the room, seeing what the other businesses in the room have achieved, like Philip, and it's just really motivating then to see like what's possible, especially for us as we're only 2 years old. So they're really, really good, and the connections you meet as well from it are just invaluable.
Yeah, and I think the challenge within business, especially when you're younger, there's so much now that's instant that you can have straight away. But in business, like climbing a mountain, you can't get to the top unless you climb it. It's like relationships. You can't have a relationship by just switching it on. You've got to work on it. Yeah. And that's so real for business. You've got to just take a breath, take time. But reflecting on the SFA did for us is caused us to stop, reflect, look where we were and maybe where we wanted to go, and then being part of the whole process and the buzz of winning was just so motivational.
Yeah, it was a great night.
I can imagine. Yeah, and Anya, in terms of that reflection piece, as you said a couple of times, it's been only 2 years really since the launch. So what have you learned in that time? What's maybe the biggest learning that you've taken from the last couple of years?
Probably to don't be afraid to ask for help.
Okay.
And I know you said it, I was laughing because I was like, yeah, I felt like you were saying it to me, because that's something that I definitely didn't do at the start, and I was trying to do everything myself. And for example, like before I actually launched the brand, I was trying to do everything myself to keep costs down. So I built the website myself, did the packaging myself. I spent 2 weeks trying to figure out how to get a barcode on a product. I watched every bloody YouTube video on it, and I was like, it can't be this hard. And then I actually reached out to Charlotte, who now works with us one day a week, chatted over to me in 5 minutes. Wow. So like, you can't know everything, and there's people there willing to help you and who are experts in their field. So I think it is, don't be afraid to ask. And I think with stuff like the SFA and the connections you meet, like just having that network of other business owners, you always have a helping hand then, and people want to help each other, and especially business owners, because we know how lonely it is and how hard it is. If there's anyone who gets it, it's other small business owners. So yeah, it's definitely, don't be afraid to ask for help.
Sorry, not jumping across there, but I'm interested. You came in 2022, and one thing we're noticing at the moment is the lack of networking that's going on at the moment. But you were kind of thrown into it with the Small Business Awards, really. I mean, did you find at that stage kind of an extra help, because everything, as you said, you'd learned, you started a business, you restarted a business before COVID. I know you know the birthday, but it was...
We're working on it behind the scenes.
Exactly. So then to be able to meet people, go away on weekends, being able to pick up the phone to Phillips or anyone like that.
100%. And I suppose, I'm in the beauty industry, and I've worked in the beauty industry for 8 years, so I had a lot of networks there, but the SFA opened me up to a whole pool of people in completely different organisations and categories. But it's funny because we probably have a lot of the same challenges, just in different industries. So I think having those connections is just invaluable, and seeing what works for Philip in his industry might be something that we can put into ours and our business that is not really done in beauty yet, So I think it's amazing, and without the SFA, we would never probably cross paths. So it's been invaluable.
Folks, I could keep this podcast running, honestly, for the next hour. I'm delighted we have a second episode because we're going to pick all this up again. But thank you all so much. I'm absolutely fascinated. Well, thank you very much as well for listening to and watching the Small Firms Association podcast ahead of the National Small Business Awards 2024. Don't forget to check out sfaawards.ie for more information. Until episode 2, bye-bye.